All right, good morning. Here's the recording for today's class, Monday, November 16th. For those of you listening to this recording while you're in school, attending in person, it is an A day, so you need to follow your A day schedules according to your PLP and Encore classes. We're going to accomplish a couple of things today during our class time. We are going to for those of you who are absent, you can use this first part of the class time to take the quiz that we all took on Friday. And those of you who finished the quiz on Friday, if you have to make any test corrections or and then practice any follow-up to get follow-up points to improve your test score, we're going to take the first part of class to do those two things. Second part of class, our learning target will be you're going to learn how to use proportional reasoning and factor puzzles to solve proportion problems. So we'll go through a couple of examples. If you want to pause the video and use your note packet and fill in the notes as we go through each slide and each example, so you have a set of examples when you do your homework assignment, which will be, there will be a two-part homework assignment. There will be some problems assigned in Think Central, and there will be some problems assigned in Get More Math for a daily point total. I'll keep it small today, maybe around 10, maybe even fewer. So with that said, I'll get started on the notes examples. Proportions are basically, by definition, proportions are two equivalent ratios. And we usually write our ratios not in the using a colon, but we'll see some of those in our work today. But most often we write our ratios so they look like a fraction. So we use kind of the horizontal line underneath. But factor puzzles are we've kind of been doing this already. So hopefully that if you found success in these factor puzzles, that these problems that we're studying and practicing this week, which by the way, there's a quiz this Friday. The biggest thing though is setting up your ratios correctly and then making sure the numbers in your ratios, and remember, two equal ratios qualify as a proportion. One ratio alone is not a proportion. Titling, putting your titles or your headings and your ratio table is a big part, but you'll see as we go through each example that this filling in this table or completing a ratio table goes away quickly, and we want to get you down to here, and eventually we want to get rid of making this look like a factor puzzle by putting these boxes in, and we don't need to put the factors around all four sides of our puzzle anymore either. That's just extra writing. So here's our first proportion problem. What's key is that that we know that these individuals are doing their actions at a constant rate. In other words, there is a rate taking place, which means there's a pattern to how they are saving. Noreen is saving $20 while Tim saved $35. So we'll just put N here. So anything underneath the N involves Noreen's information. Anything underneath the T for Tim involves his information. The ratio here from this sentence is the given information is Noreen's $20 to Tim's $35. Okay, I know that's how it's in words, but this is how we would write that out in ratio language. So the question then is, if Noreen has saved $24, can we use this rate of information to figure out how much Tim will have when Noreen has taken 24? So putting in the information here, when Noreen has $20, Tim has 35. Noreen to Tim. Then the question, I go back and read it again. They're going to give me one of these two bottom numbers, one of these two column headings. When Noreen has $24, how much will Tim have saved? So 24 is going to go underneath Noreen's heading, and Tim is the unknown. That's the question we're trying to solve. Now, I'm going to take away some of the work. We're not going to fill in this spot, this spot, this spot, or this spot. We're not going to do that anymore. And I am going to even tell you, you can take out the ratio table. Or if you're working in Think Central, maybe I got to take that back. If you're completing your Think Central assignment, I think one of the questions asks you to complete a rate table. So we should have an example on file of how to do that. But we don't need these side factors. Once we put them on the outside, at the side, and at the top, we're good. So we're looking for the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor of 20 and 35, and that is 5. So working from the inside out, now dividing, 20 divided by 5 gives me 7, and 30 divided by 5, oops, this is 4. Ooh. 35 divided by 5 is 7. 24 divided by 4 is 6. And then to finish out and answer the question, I'm going to use these outside factors, 7 times 6. So because they're saving in a pattern, which we call a constant rate, when Noreen has saved $24, Tim, following his savings methods, will have $42. Dollar signs go in the front. And then how does this factor puzzle transition? I'll use a different color here to highlight it. Transition is this outside factor, that is what was originally called a linking unit in your math expressions vocabulary, but that's actually the row number in your table. So if you look at it, this factor puzzle fits into this ratio table on row 5, and the bottom one is row 6. So count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this is row 6, so this needs to be 20, and this needs to be 35. This answer is 24 to 42 is that ratio for that row. Remember these circles, that's the basic ratio, or the ratio in lowest terms using Get More Math language. Your basic ratio is found here. These factors are your basic ratio, which go here under the proper ratio labels. Okay, and then you can fit, this is row 1, so this is 4 times 1, so this is 4, 7 times 1. This is row 2, 4 times 2, 8, 7 times 2 is 14, 4 times 3, and so on. This would be a good time to pause the video and fill in your notes if you haven't been able to keep up with my writing. It might be a good idea as we head into distant learning to maybe watch the video without writing and then go back and fill in the worksheet and maybe play the video portion over and make sure you understand where all of these numbers are coming from. Because if you're just copying and not understanding why I'm putting a 4 here or where the 5 got, you need to actually pause and study your notes so you can work on your homework problems more independently. Okay, so here's a couple of other proportions. Oh, I should go back. Is there another question on that page? There is not. Okay, so the next problem on this page is is another proportion problem. Clue words: while Noreen plants 6 tomato plants, Tim plants, so this, while she's doing this, he's doing the same thing in a pattern himself. This represents labeling our ratio, Noreen's information to Tim's information. Noreen's numbers are going to go in this column. Tim's numbers are going to go in this problem. So Noreen has 6 tomato plants, Tim has 10. What if Noreen plants 21? How can we use her pattern and apply it to Tim's pattern to figure out how many he has planted? Again, we don't need to fill these out anymore. I'm looking for the row with 2 given values. So I'm looking for the greatest common factor of 6 and 10, which I know is 2. Okay, and then working from the inside out, 6 divided by 2, 3. 10 divided by 2, 5. 21 divided by 3 is 7. 7 times 5 gives me the missing answer to the question, how many will Tim have planted? When Noreen has 21, 35 plants. When Noreen has collected 6 stickers, so the biggest thing is setting up the table, because it does matter. You can't just put the 3 numbers in any 3 squares. It won't work. You have to set them up according. So this is probably the most important step, is identifying, the titles of your columns. And you can certainly abbreviate as they have done here. But so Noreen again, Noreen savings compared to Tim savings, part-to-part comparisons, and we're talking about stickers. When Noreen has 6 stickers, Tim has 21, so they need to be in the same row, because that's how I've identified my ratio. I've identified it as left to right instead of as a fraction. How many stickers will Noreen have? Oh, little different one now. How many will Noreen have when Tim has 56? Okay, so I'm going to look at my row with the 2 given values. Rows run left to right. Greatest common factor of 6 and 21 is 3. So we don't need to fill out these or the bottom ones. Pull out the 3, and now I do my dividing. 6 divided by that greatest common factor. The answer goes on top. 21 divided by the greatest common factor of 3. The answer goes on top. 56 divided by 7 is 8. And now I can figure out how many plants by multiplying 8 times 2 for an answer of 16 stickers. Whoops, I said plants. Okay, you want to pause, get your note sheets filled in, study the answers. Maybe you need to replay. Again, I cannot stress enough how important it is to identify in words the parts of your ratios, so you make sure that the numbers are going in the right spot, because they won't always give you they'll give you the top row, but it's just super important to do that. So pause and get your notes filled in. For those of you learning at home, if you don't have a printer, I guess you're just going to kind of have to keep this video handy, or maybe you can maybe you don't have to copy the problem word for word onto a sheet of notebook paper, but at least copy the factor puzzle work for your own notes, so that when you're working in Think Central, you have something to refer back to. But in Think Central, you always have that option of using the step-by-step feature if you forgot. So here again, we have Noreen and Tim. Noreen does 72 push-ups, while Tim does only 32. Girl power. Okay. But if Tim only does 12 push-ups, how many push-ups does Noreen do? Okay, greatest common factor of 72 and 32 is, I think it's 8. Okay. So 8, and again, you can use your calculator at this point when the numbers get large like this and test out your guess as to a greatest common factor, because 2 works, but that won't work all the way for the whole puzzle. So greatest common factor is key. That's another key part in solving these problems. This becomes 9, 4, 12 divided by 4 is 3, 3 times 9 is 27, and I am out of time. So hopefully you can get caught up on your notes.